Welcome to The Record. I'm Edie Hill in for Greta Van Susteren today. In any moment, Texas Governor Greg Abbott will give an update on those devastating floods. 2 people so far have died, but communities are underwater. We'll take you there live as soon as the governor begins. Meanwhile, right now, President Trump is in New York City after giving a big speech last night.
The People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history.
More on that and why the president is in New York in just a moment. Plus, all that smoke from the Canadian wildfires, that's creating huge health issues for millions of Americans. So when will the air get less smoky? We have the forecast coming up. And this is not a skit. This is a real debate. Watch.
Actually, Webb, what qualifications do you have to serve in the U.S. Senate?
I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books.
As mentioned, President Trump is in New York, and soon he will attend a FIFA event at Trump Tower. And then on Sunday, President Trump will attend the FIFA World Cup final in New Jersey. Co-host of Wake Up America Weekend, Kyle Lowder, reports from just outside Trump Tower. Kyle?
Hi, thank you. Yes, President Trump in New York City today for the FIFA World Cup reception to be held in the building right behind me, Trump Tower. This event was confirmed by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt in yesterday's White House press briefing.
On Friday, the president will travel to New York City to attend a FIFA reception at Trump Tower, followed by his attendance on Sunday at the FIFA World Cup between Spain and Argentina.
Now, Trump's visit to the reception serves as a precursor to his attendance at the 2026 FIFA World Cup final to be played at MetLife Stadium just across the river in New Jersey. Argentina will take on Spain for the World Championship, and President Trump will present the trophy to the winner. Now, FIFA is, of course, the international governing body of soccer, and today's formal reception is strictly a corporate and diplomatic event for FIFA executives, tournament organizers, and political figures. No soccer teams will actually be attending. FIFA actually opened an official corporate office inside of Trump Tower last year, which is why the building is hosting today's event. Now, severe traffic delays and tight security checkpoints are active today around Midtown Manhattan due to President Trump's arrival. We can already see it starting to really build around here. Dump trucks on either side of the street in front of the tower. NYPD Secret Service have implemented a very heavy security perimeter. There are metal and cement barricades everywhere around the tower, resulting in rolling street closures, pedestrian restrictions, and localized gridlock. Air quality, also an issue, believe it or not, as the smoke from the Ontario wildfires has drifted into New York. I spoke to some people about it earlier on today.
I just had a panic attack. I could not breathe. I almost passed out. I need to get a coffee. Just wind me back up.
Yesterday was worse than today, personally. I thought I needed my COVID mask, actually.
Unpleasant, so tried to stay in most of the time.
It was just very eerie.
So just a heads up, if you are going to be in and around the New York City area for the next few days, just be prepared for longer than usual commutes and a whole lot of traffic just until the World Cup final wraps up on Sunday night. Back to you.
All right, Kyle Lowder, thank you so much. Well, today, China is slamming President Trump after his speech last night, accusing China of meddling in our elections. Earlier, China's foreign minister held a news conference in response to Trump's speech, the Chinese official calling Trump's comments, quote, entirely fabricated and groundless. The official adds that China has no interest in interfering in U.S. elections. So what elicited that response? Well, here's the president last night.
As the documents we are releasing show, CIA reporting explicitly stated, and I quote, in mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party's policy was to leverage all domestic and foreign elements that were opposed to the U.S. president in an effort to reduce the U.S. president's votes and make him resign or prevent his re-election. Isn't that nice?
President Trump adds that China acquired 220 million U.S. voter files.
That information includes names, addresses, phone numbers, political party preferences, and other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening. This data loss presents an unprecedented election security nightmare. The intelligence even shows that China has signed a data exploitation unit specifically to this new project.
Now, your friends may not have heard that speech depending on what network they watched last night. Well, that's because CNN, ABC, and NBC decided they weren't going to air the speech.
They want to continue this fraud for whatever reason. They want to keep it going. They want to protect the radical left. They can't have a great country, and that's true. You can't have a great country without free and fair elections. Fraud like this should mean a revocation of their licenses.
National correspondent for the Daily Signal, Tony Kinnett, and editor-in-chief for the National Review, Rich Lowry, join me. Rich, let me start with you. Will any criminal charges come out of the information that was revealed about purchasing the voter rolls and trying to influence the way that the media spun stories?
Yeah, well, look, as a practical matter, probably the way that China most influenced the 2020 election was by unleashing a virus on the world, a major pandemic that blighted Trump's final year in office, among other things. But look, it's not surprising to learn that Chinese hacked election information. They hack everything. They've been engaged in an ongoing theft of American IP that's gone on for decades now, and the biggest act of theft in world history. So certainly we should learn more about this. But in terms of prosecuting the perpetrators, that would be very difficult, given that a lot of them probably overseas.
Yeah. Tony, this is how the Democrats viewed the speech last night. Watch.
As an American, not as an elected official, I was embarrassed that the President of the United States went before our whole country, and networks like yours carried this as news, as opposed to a rehash of falsehoods. And it is incumbent upon you and any responsible journalist to push back on these falsehoods. I've been either chairman or vice chairman of the Intelligence Committee for the last decade.
If I may, on that point, since you raised it.
If I may just finish, sir. If I may, sir, finish, sir.
Well, Tony, how would you have responded to that?
Well, if I may, Edie and Rich, to put this quite clearly here, I think that there's a really good call for patience. Whenever you're talking about one of these events, I was expecting something a little bit different from the president last night. Instead of him talking about China's involvement and China getting into American voter files and taking those things, I was hoping that the president of the United States, and this is what I would have brought up were I in that interview, would announce plans to revoke the visas for the Chinese students, the 600,000 that he argued for when he was over with President Xi, or made a deal to do so. And I think that the president of the United States laid out a clear example and a clear set of reasons as to why the United States should be distancing our nation economically, intellectually, corporately from the Chinese Communist Party. And I think, again, what the president laid out was good. You don't have to dunk on him by mocking the intelligence community that 5 minutes ago you said you completely trusted. You have to pick and choose here. You can't just play the hypocrite kind of musical chairs.
Yeah. Rich, it was curious to me that a number of the networks said that, for whatever journalistic reasons, they weren't going to cover the president's speech, air that live. But then they did on their satellite networks, on their streaming platforms. So it was kind of like, no, it's not something we should cover, but they did anyway. What do you think should happen to any of the outlets, if anything, that decided they weren't airing it?
Well, I don't think government should have any role in punishing them or affecting their editorial decisions one way or the other. I think it's a bad editorial decision. My reflex is that's inherently newsworthy when the President of the United States gives a prime time address. And Senator Warner there, in high dudgeon and on his high horse, if it wasn't newsworthy, why was he on a TV network talking about it afterwards? Newsworthy one way or the other.
Well, there you go. Common sense. Tony, today the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin had this to say about our elections.
In just 4 states, we've identified 250,000 non-citizens registered to vote in California, and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Nevada.
Well, that does go to some of what the president was claiming last night. And how can that be fixed?
Well, a couple of ways. First of all, there need to be immediate update processes. For example, if you're going through the process of naturalization, those need to be immediate electronic updates, not the kind of Elon Musk stumbling into a West Virginian mine where millions of pounds of paperwork are shoved under a mountain because we can't update things. And this isn't just with voting, of course, this goes to air traffic control and a ton of other industries. Americans need to understand that their votes are secure. They need to understand that it is a secure system that has a lot of attention to it. And unless you start rebuilding these things, unless you start shoring this up, you're going to see a greater divide in the country. You'll notice I didn't mention a political party here. This shouldn't be a partisan issue. If there are individuals who shouldn't be voting, let's prove it without a doubt, and let's get them off of the voter rolls. That shouldn't be controversial.
And that's what's so surprising, because poll after poll, I mean, even CNN polls show that the vast majority of people in both Democrats and Republicans say that they want this, identification. If you're going to go vote, put identification up there. You've got to do it to go to Olive Garden and use your all-you-can-eat card. I mean,
well
really.
put.
So, Rich, Trump used this also as an opportunity to push that Save America Act and IDs. Here's what he said.
Congress must pass the Save America Act. How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat? The only reason you wouldn't do it is you want to cheat because your policies are so bad and your candidates are so pathetic that you can't get away or can't get elected any other way.
I really don't understand it. You got to have an ID to check into a hotel, to rent a car, to send something from FedEx, to pick up a package from the post office, to do pretty much anything. So do you think that this bill ever gets through the Senate? Rich?
I don't. I think voter ID, I totally agree with you, is common sense. Most states have it now, and it polls very strongly because, as you say, having a valid ID is just a key ingredient to living in modern America. Right. But I think there are a couple of Republicans dug in against it for various reasons. I don't think they're giving, and I don't think Trump's going to get this, but he's really desperate to get it. I think it's probably top two things he cares about: winning the Iran war and getting the SAVE Act through. So it really irks him, infuriates him that it's not happening, but he's probably not going to get it.
Yeah, well, we'll wait and watch. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Tony Kinnett, Rich Lowry, great to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you both.
Well, coming up, floods are devastating the Texas Hill Country. So when will the waters recede? Talk about that. Plus, millions of Americans are dealing with nasty skies and air. Look at that. It is so unhealthy, you don't even want to be breathing. Hope is on the horizon, though. We have the forecast when the record continues.
All across the nation.
So we heard a lot about Gaza recently. We're going to head down there, check it out. We're going to be doing our show right here from Minneapolis.
People can't stop talking.
I agree mostly with a guy from Newsmax. We're not all bad dudes.
About Carl Higbie.
Oh, yeah? What are you going to do? Will you come check it out of my ham? I'm going to eat half this plate during the break. Maybe I'll call the ICE hotline. I don't know if I'll have enough time.
And Frontline for the big news they need to know. Watch Carl Higbie. Frontline.
Now, tirzepatide for weight management is available in a dissolvable tablet. It's not the injection and doesn't offer the same strength or clinical evidence as the injectable form, and results will differ from the injection. But for patients who don't want shots, this tablet option is worth exploring. Understanding results will differ from the injection. Tirzepatide tablets are a prescription that starts with a telehealth evaluation by a licensed physician who reviews your health history. And if it's right for you, they prescribe it. This might be worth a conversation.
Hello, this is Franklin Graham. Samaritan's Purse is responding to the deadly earthquakes that struck Venezuela on the 24th of June. Two back-to-back earthquakes. Hundreds and thousands of people have been injured. Thousands of people are missing. The people are hurting. Samaritan's Purse has taken a field hospital. We've got doctors and nurses, and we're responding right now to the people that have lost so much. We've taken water purification. We've taken solar lights, a lot of things. We need your prayers and we need your help. God bless you.
Forget the warm-up. DirecTV got hot. They're on fire with more MLB games than anyone.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
How old are you?
11.
It's me, Ricky. You grew up with me. I am using Fatty 15 to get me to feel and look the best I've ever felt at my age. The C15 nutrient has been known to strengthen our cells and slow the aging process at a cellular level. I urge you to try Fatty 15.
Over the past few days, if you looked out in the sky, you saw it. Millions of Americans saw it. That really thick haze in the sky, sometimes it turns kind of an orange-red. Well, that's wildfire smoke from Canada and also Minnesota, and that is drifting all across the Midwest and Northeast. Not only was it ominous looking, it is dangerous to breathe. Air quality alerts have reached the hazardous level in several states, and people are being told to stay inside, especially if you're older or especially young. Today, President Trump on Truth Social said, quote, "We are holding Canada responsible for the fact that they are not maintaining properly their forests and brush therein, and the United States is being unnecessarily invaded by filthy, polluted, unhealthy air." Trump also said the cost of the pollution will be added to tariffs on Canada. Meanwhile, this is a live look at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. As mentioned, on Sunday, the president will attend the World Cup final at that stadium with a lot of folks there. The air is looking much better than it did yesterday and earlier today. Right now, we're going to go to Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, giving an update on the devastating floods in that state.
Be able to come into the Uvalde area. To support these efforts to the fullest, I am right now going to be issuing a major disaster declaration. I'm going to hold it up for you. I will tell you, it's about 20 pages long. What it does is it will open the door to federal relief to assist in the rebuilding of this region. And it's dated today, the 17th, and as of right now, it is signed, and as soon as I leave, will be on its way to President Trump. This major disaster declaration includes 28 counties. It's the counties that have been hardest hit by these devastating floodwaters. More counties can and will be added as needed. In addition to Uvalde, the other areas that remain under greatest threat are Zavala, Dimmitt, Riel counties, as well as Sutton and Crockett counties. And as I mentioned earlier, the river that remains the greatest ongoing threat is the Nueces River. Texas will continue to provide all of these counties, as well as every county affected by these storms, ongoing support and assistance. These counties will remain the primary focus until all dangers subside. Altogether, the state has already provided more than 2,700 personnel, more than 1,500 vehicles, more than 90 boats, more than 20 aircraft, as well as many other assets and resources. The state has rescued more than 270 people. In the briefing earlier, just in the Uvalde and Zavala regions, by local officials in these regions, they have rescued more than 300 people. As of right now, there remain about 125 people in shelters here in the Uvalde area. And as of right now, across the entire state, there remain 2 lives that have been lost. Our paramount goal is to make sure nobody else loses their life. We're almost through this rain event. We want local officials and residents to remain vigilant and aware by individuals and officials maintaining that awareness about the dangers of water, whether because of rising rivers or because of water on a roadway that they may think they can drive through until it's too late after they get stuck and swept away. We want everyone just for the next 24 to 48 hours to be fully aware of the danger that water can provide to your life right now. Texans, missing the placard here.
We'll get it over. RebuildTX.org.
I'll have you repeat it. So Texans and Americans, listen, they want to help out. We are people who are very generous. Whenever tragedy like this strikes, the generosity comes pouring out. The state has a 501c3 charitable organization established by the state of Texas to provide donors with a single location where they will be able to know that their support will reach those who are in need. It's called Texas One. Chief Nimkid is going to give you the website address.
It's rebuildtx.org. Rebuildtx.org.
We, as in all of us, have also received support from our fellow states. I want to thank the states and governors of Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, Nebraska, Alabama, Missouri, Colorado, Arizona, and Florida for stepping up and helping out their fellow Americans here in the state of Texas. We and the state have maintained constant contact with local officials in all of the affected regions. At this moment in time, there are no unmet needs. That said, we are still doing rescue operations in some counties as we speak right now. And once again, although the rain may subside, rivers will continue to rise. So take matters into your own hands to be as safe as possible. Now I'm going to pass it to your local state representative, Don McLaughlin.
Well, you've been listening to Texas Governor Greg Abbott with an update on the devastating floods there. He says the state alone has rescued more than 200 people, and just the counties of Uvalde and Zavala have rescued another 300 people. In all, 28 counties, he said, are of concern right now. And he does believe, though, that they are almost through the rain event, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the rivers stop rising. Right now, I'm joined by Brett Rimkus. He is flood advisor member in Uvalde County and the host of the Dam Report. Brett, thanks again for joining us. We've watched some of your videos, and I know your area, Garner State Park, Uvalde, that whole region there. And what normally are dry beds are what we see right there, raging rivers. What's been going on?
So we've gotten widespread rain up in our area. The difference in this rain and the rains of past is this has hit so many different areas. We have a lot of tributaries that feed into these rivers. And when they're hit all at the same time, this is what happens, and this is what causes the problems. Short term, but even short term, long term, we still have a lot of these creeks that we'll be filling in for a while. So this water will stay up at a higher level longer than normal, which they usually empty out kind of quick, but it'll be a little bit longer because of all these creeks and all these all the rain was widespread. So feeding into it's quite a bit.
Yeah, right around this time of the year, I've seen you over at Garner State Park. It's the most popular park in the state of Texas. A lot of folks had to have been there, and it's hard to get them in and out. What's happened in the state park?
So right now, the state park, we have opened it back up. We were very, knowing the storm was coming in, we were working with the National Weather Service, Office for Emergency Management down in down in Uvalde. It was very open. We had great communication. The use of radar, the use of phones has helped us out a lot. We have all the camps on the same text message and warning system that we have here, which is communicating through text. Everybody had everybody up from that. So everybody was able to be protected when these rains came in. Right now we are in Concan, which we have 2 ways in and out. Both of those are compromised with this flood. So we have 1,500 people in our area right now that we're trying to get food to make sure that everybody has water until we can get out in the next day or 2.
So in Concan, you're pretty much locked in there right now.
Right. We had DPS fly, another medic and I in here yesterday. And then we had the National Guard and Border Patrol helped assist us as well. And they brought in cases and MREs to the families that were staying there, planning on leaving Wednesday. And now they're stuck 3 or 4 more days. Yeah. And so they have medications, they have food that they're running out of, water they're running out of. And so they were able to bring through and assist here at House Pasture Restaurant to distribute that food.
That's great. Well, I know that I had seen that about 28 inches of rain fell over a couple of days, but that when it gets to the ground, how does that translate into, a foot, 2 feet, 6 feet rising?
So it all depends where it goes, but you're looking at when you have that and it gets saturated, that water has nowhere to go. So literally you could get an 1 or 2 inch rain and get a rise on the river. But when you get 10 and 12 and 14 inches in a day, it really makes a major impact on that river. And so it's from now until the next little bit till it dries out, any amount of rain that we get anywhere up in our watershed is going to cause these rains to go up, and you're going to see what's happening on this videos.
Yeah, I know that you do the dam report, and tell me, in all your time there, have you seen it this bad?
I've seen it in small portions. I've never seen it this widespread. This is the problem that we're having. Everybody talked about this big flood that possibly could happen, and it is. I mean, it was widespread. It was Uvalde County, it was Real County, Medina County. It was all the counties around us. And when you start getting all your personnel and the people that are working, it's taking everybody and they're spreading them out. So that's the harder part, where it's more. Before, it was maybe a higher level, but it was short-lived and all that kind of stuff. And this round right now it's widespread, so we're having to use our resources across both counties. And but it's I mean, everybody was prepared and everybody's done a great job so far. We've been very pleased with the support that we've got from the state, Texas Parks and Wildlife, DPS, game wardens, Border Patrol, and our local Office of Emergency Management has been spectacular.
Well, that is good to hear. Brett Rimkus, thank you so much. And the governor said if folks out there want to help, you can go to rebuildtx.org and contribute.
Yes.
We'll make sure it gets to the right place. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Coming up, a teleprompter operator, a fiasco involving the White House. All that, details when the record continues.
The future is gonna be amazing!
He's the visionary who gave us SpaceX, Starlink, Tesla, PayPal. Elon Musk is championing free speech with X. And his alliance with Trump is giving freedom a big boon. Watch Vision, Elon Musk's story.
Every day across the globe, big business agendas go unseen by investors. Things that go against your core values and beliefs. It's time to know your investments. Abortion, alternative lifestyles, gender and identity confusion. If you believe in protecting marriage and life, children, innocence, guarding masculinity, restoring families, defending religious liberty, invest with your values. Before investing, carefully consider the fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the investment company. This and other important information can be found in the fund's prospectus. To obtain a copy, visit timothyplan.com or call 800-846-7526. Read each prospectus carefully before investing. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Where's the admission desk at your hospital? You may need it sooner than you think. It's the middle of the night and you, your spouse, or your child is sick, high fever, can't keep anything down, and getting worse. Now you're waiting in the ER, and everyone gets seen before you. And when I finally see you and order prescriptions, you still have to wait for your pharmacy to open and hope they have what I prescribed. This is the medical emergency kit. It's stocked with essential medications, including amoxicillin, generic Z-Pak, and ivermectin. Now you have the right medications when you need them. And it's why I and so many of my colleagues have medical emergency kits. It's like having an urgent care and pharmacy in your home. Just fill out a brief online medical intake and your kit, prescribed by a licensed provider, is shipped to your door. Here's how to order.
Order your kit now and save $45. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news. That's urgentcarekit.com/news.
I'm Rob Riggle, actor, comedian, and former United States Marine. Tunnel to Towers is outstanding. This organization does a really good job of honoring its promises.
Oh my God.
And the way they help first responders and veterans. So that's why I'm involved. There are ways you can help T2T on their mission to do good. Just $11 a month can transform the lives of our veterans. Go to T2T.org for more information on how a small contribution can make a big difference.
My dad has never been in better shape. He had a stroke and passed away. He had a life insurance policy. Ethos.com. In 10 minutes, you can be covered with life insurance.
Check your price today at ethos.com.
As a kid, I was desperate for the $300 pairs of sunglasses that I saw all the athletes in my life wear. But it was just not realistic for me to spend that kind of money on sunglasses, something that I would probably lose or break. And that was the genesis for starting Shady Rays. High-quality, polarized, performance sunglasses with lost and broken protection. If you'd like to try a pair completely risk-free, see why millions have switched to Shady Rays at shadyrays.com and shop our full collection.
Take a look and see if you remember this.
The whole world, unfortunately, has become somewhat of a casino. And you look at what's going on all over the world, in Europe and every place they're doing these betting things. I was never much in favor of it. I don't like it conceptually, but it is what it is.
That was the president back in April, and those comments came after a soldier on the Nicolas Maduro operation was charged with betting on the operation on Polymarket. Gannon Ken Van Dyke is accused of making more than $400,000 on the timing of the operation to capture the Venezuelan dictator. Now, you flash forward to this week, and the White House teleprompter operator is accused of betting on what exact words the president would say and then cashing in to the tune of more than $100,000. Well, this person had reportedly been operating President Trump's prompter since 2016. He is now on administrative leave. Former U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Alabama, Jay Town, and trial attorney Barak Lurie joining me both. Thanks so much, guys. Jay, let me start with you. When is enough enough? I mean, you can bet literally on anything you can think of. I saw one, I'm not sure if it was on Polymarket or another, whether or not Jesus Christ was coming next week.
Yeah. What are the odds on that, by the way? Let's hope not, right? I don't need the rapture next week. I have things to do. But, you know, you can bet on anything. You can bet on the coin toss of the Super Bowl. Apparently, you can bet on which day Maduro is going to get snatched up by the American military and what words the president might say in a speech. So, you know, some of this is actually on Polymarket and some of these other sites. But at the same time, look, if you're going to use inside information, that does amount to normally wire fraud, and the Commodity and Futures Trading Commission and DOJ are looking into the teleprompter, Mr. Perez, because $100,000 is not peanuts, as the president might say, and it is a very severe felony, federal crime.
And so, Barak, is there a way to stop this? I mean, it just seems very difficult to catch these people, let alone figure out a way to keep this from happening.
Yeah, it's very hard to stop this process altogether. However, in this particular case, the reason why he got caught was, I guess, the Kalshi markets actually kind of caught this as unusual trading and decided to report it. So that's how he was exposed to there. Look, the reality is people want to gamble. They want to get, like Jay said, they can gamble on just about everything. And it's just the reality of life. It is what it is, as Trump had also said. What I understand is that they're not actually going to proceed with criminal procedures against him. It is an administrative matter, the way they're handling it right now. And I suspect that this guy will be fired ultimately after his administrative leave runs out with no pay. So we'll see about this, but people are going to continue to do what they're going to do.
Yeah, I would take that bet. He will get fired. I am sure of that. Jay, the reports say that he wants to settle the case, but you know, could you give even any kind of defense for having done something like this?
No, there's no defense. I mean, really, the mitigation here, then maybe the difference between the soldier at Fort Bragg is that none of the winnings, it doesn't appear anyway, or at least the lion's share of those winnings, never made it into his back pocket. Kalshi Market was able to retain that Freezy account so it couldn't be withdrawn. So that's somewhat helpful. That makes the loss to the victim much less. And there are thresholds with the FBI and other federal agencies as to how much theft there is before they'll prosecute. But you're right. I would bet that he will be fired.
We'll see if there's a line on that one. Barak, you know, can these prediction markets like Kalshi and Polymarket, can they be regulated so that that type of insider trading can be stopped? I mean, what do they do for the NASDAQ and the rest of the markets that could potentially be used for markets like this?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think that there can be regulated more than they already are. To some extent, they simply have to be able to. I mean, they're interested in making sure that there's a market there and people need to rely on the market. I'm much more of a market-oriented sort of guy, but there's still regulation as it is. And I don't know any amount of regulation that could have stopped this particular trade, this nefarious trade from going on. They just have to do it on a case-by-case basis. What I do like is that Kalshi did notice that there was unusual activity and they reported it right away. And that's how we were able to stop it.
Yeah, because it was a big amount that tipped him off clearly. Jay Town, Barak Lurie, thank you both for coming in.
Thanks. Thank you, Edie.
All right, ahead. If the clocks spring forward and stay forward, what does that actually mean? We called up a doctor to discuss daylight savings and what that actually does to your body. We'll have that when the record continues.
Tomorrow on Wake Up America Weekend.
From Lincoln pennies to the new Trump dollar, Pawn Stars Rick Harrison shows us which other presidential coins are worth a fortune.
Tomorrow at 7 a.m., only on Newsmax.
Falls are the #1 cause of injury to senior citizens. Falling down stairs can be disastrous. Acorn Stair Lifts has the solution. Just don't fall. Sit, relax, ride with an Acorn Stair Lift, the world's leader in stair lifts. That's right, don't let limited mobility keep you from going up and down your stairs, even outside. Call Acorn Stair Lifts now for a free information kit and no obligation quote. Now you can safely ride with your Acorn Stair Lift.
Now I don't have to worry about him climbing those stairs anymore.
And our Acorn Stair Lift was very affordable. Our Acorn Stair Lift is definitely more affordable than moving.
The Acorn Stair Lift has a padded seat and backrest for maximum comfort. It easily folds up for access to the stairway. 5 safety sensors stop your Acorn Stair Lift if there is something in the way. And it even runs during power outages.
I am king of my castle again.
You'll be working directly with the world's leader in stair lifts. That's right, there's no middleman. Acorn's trained technicians professionally install your stair lift directly to the staircase. In most cases, in 2 hours or less. There's no need for special construction. We don't leave until you're completely comfortable using your Acorn Stair Lift.
Don't risk a serious fall going down the stairs.
I was really surprised at how little it cost.
Call for your free no-obligation information kit and quote from Acorn Stair Lifts. Just don't fall. Safely ride up and down your steps.
Give your life a lift with Acorn Stair Lifts.
Call 1-800-908-4077 right now for your free information kit or visit our website today. That number again is 1-800-908-4077. Call now.
Some wireless companies say that they stand for something. What exactly do they stand for, and why won't they say it out loud? Let me tell you what Patriot Mobile stands for. They stand for the lives of the unborn. They stand for the Second Amendment and the right to protect yourself and your family. They stand for our veterans and first responders who sacrifice so much for our freedom. Make the switch to Patriot Mobile today and support a company that doesn't just say they stand for something, but one that stands for the things that matter the most.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dry premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
On the grass of Sunday morning of last.
Yummy.
Indulging in myself.
As if.
Fantastic. That's what I've been saying. I got sand in my butt. I can't hardly walk.
You steal my sunshine.
Now to something folks are still wrapping their heads around. That's right, it is daylight savings time. Earlier this week, the House passed the Sunshine Protection Act. Now, that bill would make daylight saving time permanent and shift the United States an hour ahead of standard time. Well, here's what some members of Congress from both sides of the aisle think.
Everyone always asks the same question every year because we are all equally annoyed. Why in the heck are we still changing our clocks? For a state like Florida that welcomes millions of visitors every single year, more daylight in the evening means more opportunities.
Permanent daylight savings time comes with serious health and safety concerns caused by even darker winter mornings. Morning commuters, students, and pedestrians will be starting their day in the dark.
Well, triple board certified neurologist and neurovascular specialist Dr. Jeremy Liff joins us. Thank you, Dr. Liff. So in the winter, the sun won't rise until 8 or 9 a.m. in parts of the country. What effects could that have on people?
It could have some pretty bad effects, to be honest with you. I think most importantly with the kids. So there's an obvious problem from a purely practical standpoint that children are going to be going to school in pitch darkness as if it's the middle of the night. But then there's the scientific implication that We really should be trying to synchronize our lives and when we get up and go to sleep as much as we can with the sun. And that starts with noting that when the sun is directly overhead of us, that's noon. This kind of changes that permanently. And children really shouldn't be having to wake up in pitch darkness on a continual basis. It affects our biorhythms and that affects our health.
Yeah, there are some studies that say that there are a lot more traffic accidents that happen. Why would that be?
Well, again, from a practical standpoint, people are going to be driving in the darkness. What's actually interesting, we know for a fact, and this has been documented for many years, that there are more strokes, heart attacks, and atrial fibrillation whenever you change the clock, whether you go forward or back. But the bottom line is that if we are going to go off our calibration, off with the sun's calibration, just the way in which the neurotransmitters and chemicals course through our body gets affected by the sunlight. And if we're altering that artificially by an alarm clock, for instance, or then trying to go to sleep much too early in terms of the sun's already set, it screws up the neurotransmitters. It's a sort of an advanced topic, but it leads to things like increased blood pressure and increased vascular tone.
You wouldn't think that it made that much of a difference, but what would be the benefits then of keeping the sun up an extra hour?
Well, the benefits are, I guess, from what has been stated, especially in the summer months. We love that it's 8 o'clock in the Northeast and you can still go out and, well, as long as the sky's not on fire like it is now. But, it would be interesting to me if they passed this bill in the winter where you knew that at 7:30 it would still be pitch dark, because in the summer it's still light. So it's that extra hour of daylight at the end, but there is a price to pay. We're not changing nature by passing legislation.
Yeah, if the bill becomes law, what are your tips for people to adjust and stay healthy?
I'll tell you, I was thinking about this. It may be that schools want to start a little bit later, because you really should not have people and kids getting up in the pitch darkness. Maybe we want to try to shift a little bit further into the day so that we're a little bit more synchronous with the sun. Apart from that, I would say try to go to sleep a little bit earlier, really try to get more sleep. And please do not try to deal with this by drinking energy drinks. That's the worst thing, and that's a whole nother topic, and it's a nightmare.
Yes, that is. Dr. Jeremy Liff, thank you very much. Interesting idea. Start kids later
Thanks
at
for
school.
having me.
You bet. Coming up, over the past 5 weeks, they've flocked to America for soccer. Besides a love of ranch dressing, what else has the world learned about the red, white, and blue? That when the record continues.
IRAs and 401ks were designed to account for a 2% rate of inflation. The idea was you could apply a 4% withdrawal rate and it would last. Inflation is at 3.8%, but when you account healthcare, insurance, food, and energy, the real rate is 8%. Gold's role isn't to make you rich, it's to help you survive what's coming. Call Patriot Gold Group at 1-800-778-4156. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer nationwide. The only firm nationwide where you, the client, work directly with an owner. Home of the America 250 No Fee for Life IRA. Call 1-800-778-4156 and see how easy it is to protect your IRA with physical gold and silver. Call now, 1-800-778-4156.
In America, we believe in hard work, family, and taking care of our own. That's why Safe Step walk-in tubs are proudly designed, built, and assembled in the USA, in the heart of Tennessee, by more than 300 hardworking Americans.
My name is Michelle Johnson. Lamination is where we put the fiberglass, resin, and gel coat on the actual product.
Skilled craft professionals building every tub with precision, care, and pride. With a low step-in design, built-in safety features, and soothing therapeutic jets, Safe Step helps you stay comfortable, confident, and in control.
My name's Angela Peters. We make sure everything is as perfect as it can be.
When you choose Safe Step, you're not just investing in your home, you're supporting American families and American jobs. Call now for your free in-home consultation and ask about our special offer. Safe Step walk-in tubs, made in Tennessee, made for you.
Now, tirzepatide for weight management is available in a dissolvable tablet. It's not the injection and doesn't offer the same strength or clinical evidence as the injectable form, and results will differ from the injection. But for patients who don't want shots, this tablet option is worth exploring, understanding results will differ from the injection. Tirzepatide tablets are a prescription that starts with a telehealth evaluation by a licensed physician who reviews your health history. And if it's right for you, they prescribe it. This might be worth a conversation.
You can't find a ranch style with a view.
And a mom-in-law suite.
More realtor agents recommend Realtor.com. With their expert new search tool, just search it like you'd say it.
Room for mom.
And Reba. Make it real with Realtor.com.
I know how to make slick-looking goggles/glasses, but I have no idea how to make slick-looking social media stuff. But GoDaddy Aero uses AI to create social content out of thin air, like this one. Walton Goggins goggle glasses are great gifts for all guys and gals.
Well, this weekend, the World Cup tournament comes to an end. For the last month, we've seen fans from all over the world take over American cities while supporting their teams. The Scots drank Boston bars out of their beer. The Norway fans, they were rowing all over New York City. Croatian cowgirls paraded down Texas streets, and Colombian fans even put their jersey on the Rocky statue in Philadelphia. We really saw so many great moments of visitors immersing themselves into American culture. And here are just a few of those highlights.
Texas is good. Everything is big.
From Buc-ee's. So go Buc-ee's. Great place. I love the beef jerky. We love the cowboy style.
I'm an American baby, and apparently Walmart is a spot to go to get all this stuff that you can't get back home in Ireland.
I can refill it as many times as I want. Bring it on. Bring this to England.
You have the cowboy hat on. Talk to me about why did you decide to wear it today?
Because we went to Fort Worth and we decided to try to be like locals.
Miss American Pie and Country Roads by John Denver seem to be the key songs. On Sunday, though, it all ends. The defending champion Argentina will face Spain in the World Cup final. They'll play that at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, and the president will be in attendance. Sports editor for Daily National, Mike Bako, joins me right now. So, Mike, did this tournament reshape the world's view of the United States and our culture?
Oh, certainly. I mean, if you saw some of those clips, certainly what's been going on over the last few weeks, really what's been going on in the stadiums, these traveling cavalcades of nations of fans going stadium to stadium, whether it be in New Jersey or Dallas or Miami, filled, packed stadiums. We were having a lot of conversations and a lot of reporting before the World Cup started about some of the dynamic pricing on the tickets, the exorbitant prices on the tickets. And me, for one, I was actually expecting to see some stadiums that were sparsely attended. Yes, we saw some of that at the very, very beginning stages of this World Cup, but I think it's blown out of the water any expectations in terms of the reception that the fans have had towards America, the stadiums being filled, great games, great product, and amazing ratings for Fox. I mean, I think the final coming up here on Sunday is going to rival some of the top NFL games over the last decade or so.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting for us Americans to hear this, but some fans apparently were scared to visit America before this. So listen to just one fan from Germany. They said this.
To be honest, I was a bit scared or had the fear to travel to the United States. News about shootings and criminals and that the country is not safe. I fall in love with this country, and this was so emotional. I even cried in the stadium.
So why did people get this thought that America was so scary?
Well, obviously from, I guess, following the news and following the misperception of things. Certainly President Trump played into that, potentially in his administration, with some of the threats of having ICE at some of the stadiums for additional security. That didn't transpire. I think what a lot of the fans were kind of thinking was they weren't quite sure what the soccer experience was going to be like. They got that experience, and it's been A+. And then being in these cities for multiple days, waiting for these games to happen, what do? You go to the local bars, you go to the local Walmart, you go to the local Buc-ee's, and you experience all these things that we take for granted. Here in the States, we think about people coming over from Brazil or Portugal or France and that lifestyle of going to a cafe along a river or in a great city like Paris. And we kind of put down what we have here. And then when they go to Fort Worth, when they go to Miami, when they go to Atlanta, and they're just blown away by what we take for granted, that's been a great experience to see as an American, but then also just as a soccer fan, bringing this kind of family of fans together. That's really been heartening. It'll be interesting to see whether that translates into even more interest for the American MLS league as well. That'll be interesting to see.
I still don't understand the game very well, but I did watch a bit of it and started to get into it a bit. So do you think that soccer is going to become a much bigger sport here in the States because of this?
I think what will happen is this. Fans are going to watch this final. They're going to watch Argentina. If they saw the brilliance of Messi with those 2 last-minute assists going on against England, they're going to be sorely disappointed once they start watching the MLS again. It's definitely a notch below. We saw it in the results of the U.S. team. They had a couple of good wins, but then when they went up against a world-class team like Belgium, they fell flat. I do think that this will increase some interest temporarily. MLS was on a 7-week break. I think we'll see that, but I really think all eyes are going to be on this final. Has the makings of an all-timer to send Messi out on top.
Real quick, Spain or Argentina?
I think Argentina is going to pull it out there on an all-time roll.
Mike Bako, thank you. Coming up, a strange-looking animal with an even stranger name has become an internet sensation. You will see him just a little bit when the record continues.
Hey, I'm Carl Higbee from Newsmax. Look, I'm unapologetically pro-American, and honestly, this is the one place that lets me call it how it is. I'm not holding back. I'll give it to you straight every single night.
Feeling winded and short of breath when you should be enjoying life? Your days are made for more than this. And if you find yourself stopping more and more to catch your breath, you could be experiencing what we call temporary oxygen insufficiency. Don't let shortness of breath ruin your day. Give yourself a boost with Boost Oxygen. A few deep breaths of Boost Oxygen is all you need to help combat the negative effects of what we call temporary oxygen insufficiency, so you can get back to doing the things you love. Boost Oxygen contains pure supplemental oxygen that is safe for daily use and comes in a portable, lightweight canister without a prescription.
Now I live life on my terms. With Boost Oxygen, I am unstoppable.
Get all-natural 5-star respiratory support with Boost Oxygen. Get Boost Oxygen at these fine retailers.
The grind catches up with everyone, even me. That's why I trust Kinnett Ultra High Absorption Turmeric to support my joint health. It's the #1 doctor-recommended form of turmeric that helps you keep doing the things you love at every age. Kinnett, the brand I trust.
Stop, check this out. Our most advanced performance frame, Talon, is out. It's a bestseller. We just got it back in stock, and I want to show you a little bit about it. These come with our signature lost and broken protection, and you can try them risk-free for 30 days. Check them out at shadyrays.com.
You clean your dog, your kid, your carpet, clothes, and fridge. Keeping your home clean is smart. Switching your home air filter to PureFlow? Brilliant. PureFlow's 4-stage filtration traps pollen, dust, and common allergens, giving your family superior indoor air quality and superior airflow. Nothing feels better than a clean house. And fresh, clean air. Switch now to PureFlow air filters. Go to pureflowair.com to find yours today.
Nobody knows Corvettes like McMulkin Chevrolet, the world's largest Corvette dealer for 5 consecutive years. Set apart by its name alone, Corvette delivers a legacy of American craftsmanship, and a vehicle that sets the bar for performance cars deserves a buying experience that beats it. With hundreds of Corvettes in stock and ready for immediate delivery nationwide, it's no wonder Corvette enthusiasts from across the USA keep coming back to McMulkin Chevrolet.
Where's the admission desk at your hospital? You may need it sooner than you think. It's the middle of the night and you, your spouse, or your child is sick, high fever, can't keep anything down, and getting worse. Now you're waiting in the ER, and everyone gets seen before you. And when I finally see you and order prescriptions, you still have to wait for your pharmacy to open and hope they have what I prescribed. This is the medical emergency kit. It's stocked with essential medications, including amoxicillin, generic Z-Pak, and ivermectin. Now you have the right medications when you need them. And it's why I and so many of my colleagues have medical emergency kits. It's like having an urgent care and pharmacy in your home. Just fill out a brief online medical intake and your kit, prescribed by a licensed provider, is shipped to your door. Here's how to order.
Order your kit now and save $45. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news. That's urgentcarekit.com/news.
Today in the capital of Iowa, a big summit on faith, freedom, and family. And Newsmax CEO Chris Ruddy was there. Here is what some of what Ruddy said at the Family Leadership Summit. Listen.
The top 10% of the wealthiest in the nation controls 60% of the nation's wealth. The bottom 50% of America has almost no wealth. 50% of the country has almost no wealth. I don't know if that's the definition of third world, but it's getting close. Now, the left's answer to this is more taxes, more government control, more socialism. My answer is going back to our roots, the free enterprise system, competition, less crony capitalism, and less insider games that make a handful of people and companies super rich.
Well, the summit continues today with House Speaker Mike Johnson set to take the podium in the next hour. Newsmax is following that event for you. And now to the midterms. What you're about to see is a real debate. It is not for a local election. It's the debate for Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate from Maine. Watch.
What qualifications do you have to serve in the U.S. Senate?
Oh, I ran for office several times. Didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books.
The question was, what is your experience in the fields of defense and national security?
Well, I don't come from, I wasn't in the military and I wasn't in the defense industrial complex. I'm a small brewery owner.
You just said you're for Medicare for All. Is everyone on this panel? Dan, no?
Yeah. I mean,
okay. I'm actually on Medicare.
The reputation of the Democratic Party is in the toilet.
I did this because I'm very interested in climate.
With the trans community, we're being dehumanized. They say that we want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt anybody. I just want to use the bathroom. And if they want me to use the men's room, I will, but I don't want to be assaulted.
Well, those are the candidates looking to replace Graham Platner as the Democrat nominee for U.S. Senate from Maine. There will not be a formal election anymore. Instead, about 500 delegates and 100 party members will choose the replacement in a convention beginning a week from tomorrow. And Seattle has a new star. Meet Jimothy. He is a raccoon, but he doesn't look like a typical raccoon. He has this unique shape to him, and a Seattle veterinarian believes that the raccoon looks like that because he has a shorter spine somehow. Well, folks are embracing it. Some say he looks like Bigfoot. I don't know about that. But Jimothy the raccoon has been spotted by locals running around, getting into things. Videos of Jimothy on social media have been shared hundreds of thousands of times. Wildlife people say, if you see Jimothy, let him be.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.